Hey guys, I'm in my studio. It has been a while. It's probably been since Christmas that I've been out here, but I have 2 or 3 projects that I've had on my mind that I would like to do. So I'm just going to try to dig down, and one of them, well, they're all just for fun, really. I was looking through Pinterest the other day and I saw watercolor and I thought, oh, that'd be a cute thing to do. I'd like to have that to maybe hang on the wall or give as a gift. I actually have to have a birthday present soon, so that might happen. And I want to do a couple of other things. So here we go. Now, I haven't watercolored in a while, but I hope it's like that bicycle thing that happens. First of all, I want to talk to you about sketching my pattern on there. I just looked at the one that I saw, and I don't want mine to be exactly like it, but I do want it to be close to it. Now this is going to be a watercolor pen and ink, and if you've ever painted with me before, you know that I do that quite a bit. Now I want my house to be white, so I'm going to leave a lot of negative space. I've pulled out my watercolors. Let's keep our fingers crossed that they're not completely gone. I probably will have to do a lot of layering. I want just a small window. I don't want it to be anything major. I'm just gonna do me a couple of blobs that will make a window. The roof, I want the roof to be a gray slate. But I don't want the whole roof to be covered. So here again, I'm gonna rinse my brush out and pull that paint over. Now I will probably come back over this again, but I just want just a little, just enough to start a base is all that I want there. Bring a little bit of that out. Now one way you can pull paint off is you can take a dry brush and just pull it off if you want it. That was just a trick I wanted to show you. I'm going to go back in here and gray it back up. And then the chimneys are going to be white, but there's just a little shadow on a couple of them. So I'm just going to, well, there's only 2, but I'm just going to make a little shadow. And then this is the front door. I want a little shadow there and a little shadow running down onto the house. Plus on the windows. There's not going to be enough really to, this is going to be a small painting. I've got a little side building going here. And I want him to be brown. So I'm gonna give him, I'm gonna leave my little light spot on there. I'm gonna put him there, let him dry. And then my tree trunk, I'm pouncing around because I need for my paint to dry. Now what I'm doing is I'm going into a dark brown. It's burnt umber. And I have some green, I have some blue green on there already, so I'm not having to do very much there, but I want to make my tree trunk. I'm going to start on my tree trunk. Just want a little low leaning tree there. Now I will come back and bring some more bushes and different things in there. And as you see, I'm just not using a whole lot of color here. I'm going to let my pen and ink do a lot of mine. And this is, let's make it kind of this time of year. Just this time of year. Now, I want it to be, I don't want it green, but I don't want it brown either. So I'm just going to mix a little bit and let it fall down into that. Now I don't know how far I'm going to go here, so I'm just going to add it down here. I can always cover that up. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to let that kind of be my walkway, sort of, kind of, maybe. Because this is a very abstract. Ooh, I didn't want to cut that green. Let me ochre that down just a touch. There we go. Just gonna ochre it down a touch. And I think right here I'm gonna make a wall of some sort. Now I am gonna come on off of what probably is gonna be the page, because I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to end the painting. I don't know what size frame I have in the house, but I'm just kind of giving that. Now, I do want a little darker shadow up under that house. So I'm going to take where that's really green, I'm going to add some blue, and I'm going to kind of darken it up. I'm just going to drop some in there. Now, we'll come back to that in a little while after it kind of dries, and we'll add some more different colors to it. Now, I do want to make a stone wall. So I'm going to take my differences. You know, when we look at rocks and stones, which are one of my favorite things, they are all different sizes. Now, remember, I'm going to use pen and ink, so I just need some shapes, because I can make them into whatever I want with my pen and ink. So, for lack of a better word, I just need some blobs. I just need some blobs. And I'm going to kind of make sure that they're in there together. If you've been out in a field, you know that they're all different colors. And while it's wet, I like to go in there and drop in some I call them foreign colors. Just something that kind of separates them from there. I know it doesn't look like a whole lot right now, but it's getting there. I'm liking it. And you know, the beauty of it is, if it's something we don't like, we can always change it. Now, as I get closer to the bottom, I'm going to add some little mossy on it. And I'm going to put a little moss on some of these rocks up here. I didn't quite want that much blossom, but I'm going to let it dry. You know what? I think I'm going to come back and blop it. There we are. Now then, kind of make it a little darker right in here close to the, there we go. Add some shading to it. Just going to let it flow as it will. I'm a very free painter. I just let it kind of flow, especially when I'm doing pen and ink. Now, I want a gate, maybe would be the word. So I want this to be in here. Again, remember, I'm coming in with pen and ink, and I'm going to make it darker. There we go. And then we're just gonna make us a few little boards to go across there. No more paint than that, Brenda. There we go. Now then. All righty. That's looking pretty good. Let's just throw us in a little bit of sky up here. A little bit of sky up here. We don't want it too bright. So I'm just gonna, it's not a cloudy day, but it's, there we go. Let's just kind of bring it in a little bit down over here. Very light, very light. Now a lot of this, after it dries, it's gonna kind of feel like it's gonna go away. All righty then. Now, Over in this area, I want some bushes. I'm going to go with a little green and a little brown and a little blue. I'm going to put a little sienna in there. I'm going to rinse my brush, pat it out, and then I'm going to come back in here and just touch it because I don't want it, I want that rich color, but I don't want it to take over. And while I'm here, I'm going to put some over here on this tree. I want it to be defined, but I don't want it to overtake. There we go. Very abstract, very abstract. That's what I am this is a very abstract painting. So if you're painting it, don't get too tight. It will not come out the way you want it. These are bushes, so I'm gonna, and then I want that tree to kind of blend in there. Okay, there we go. Now I want my pathway. It needs a little color in it, so I'm gonna do some color now. Down here, let's make this a road. Let me think. I'm gonna blend all these in here. Just kind of bring us some, and then let it drop it into almost like a dirt road, but not. Don't you like that? A dirt road, but not. Y'all know my house is on a dirt road at the back of the house. The front of the house is not, but the back of the house is, which is kind of crazy. All right, now I want to, this area in the house is, I'm anxious to try these. I have not tried these. I'm anxious to try these. I ordered these on Amazon, and I've heard good things about them. So I'm gonna try these. Now I'm not gonna get into the paint because I'm just gonna kind of define the little doorway. I just want to define it because I'm gonna come back in and do a little painting on it. Now I'm scratching. Y'all know me. Y'all know I'm a scratcher. So I want to make these windows. And then I'm going to make some little windows in there. And this one I'm going to kind of make a half window. And it's just going to have a little bit there. So I'm just bringing it to life, I guess you'd say, is what I'm doing. And then after I do this, I'm going to come back with some more watercolor, especially up north, these, and I'm just going to assume because that has a little doorway there, they'll have the little topper so the snow doesn't get down into the house. I'm shaking a little bit today, but that's all right. Now I want this window to be a little bigger. And then when that dries, I'll come back in there. Now, here is, I'm going to frame that up just a little more. Now, let's set this house down into the ground. A little side there. And let's put a little side here. Plus, let's take the little outbuilding and give him some boards. Don't worry if they're straight or not. It's okay. Don't worry if you go all the way on there. I'm going to make this, put a little door over there. That's looking good. Let's see. I'm going to make these. Now, my touch is very, very light. It's very light, and I'm not making, these are random. Random has always been hard for me, but if you'll pull back on your pencil or your brush, it helps you at random more. So I'm just gonna kind of go crazy here. I want to make my little walkway. Come on down a little bit and touch my little fence. See how it's beginning to take a little shape, and all I'm doing is I'm just basically scratching the surface. I want my tree to stand out a little more, so I'm gonna get that trunk in there pretty good. I'm gonna set it down in, and then I'm gonna do the same thing that I did over there on the bushes. Sorry about that, guys. And I'm gonna do it over here. Just pushing back on my pen. And then these are bushes right here. So I'm gonna round them out a little bit. Now, this I want to be rocks. Now, this is not to say I'm not going to go back in this. I'm going to back up. After I get what I want here, I'm going to back up and see if there's something else I want to do. I already see a couple of things, but I want to get my gate done. Now I'm doing broader strokes here because I want it to sit down in, but I still want it to be very loose. Now this is one of my boards. There's another one. No straight lines. You can have a straight line, but we want it to be a jagged straight line. Does that make any sense at all? All right. Now, I didn't put it in there, but I'm going to draw it on there. I'm going to draw a little. I'm going to go back over that a little bit. Now, the rocks, you've got, okay, think rock. Think rocks. Rocks are not always round. Sometimes they're a little square. Now, some of them are, and if you do round, make a little broader stroke on there. If you can see that. Now, there's no quote mortar, so we're just going to take what we have here and find our little rocks in there. Just find them wherever they might be. And remember, rocks are rocks. I mean, you get this in here and you're going to see, you're going to be so pleased with it if you're doing them. Now, and also, if you'll go look at an old-timey rock wall. Now, my family made rock walls in our old house. We had terraces of rocks where I was growing up. And it took days to complete them because the rocks are rocks. They don't have any specific thing going. They're round and they're square. And I'm just doing a little bit of dancing around here. We're just going to dance around a little bit. I want some tall grass there. Okay, now before I do anything else, I'm going to come back in here. And now I didn't even tell you what brush I used. I've used these. I got these at May's. These are the Nouveau brushes. And this is just the round one. It's not the small one. It's next to the small one. It's just easier to use. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a few shadows. I want to go in here in my darker brown and add it where I've had the blues and the greens going. And I'm just going to add a little, it's just going to be a little shadow here. I'm going to make it like it's coming off of there. And then I'm also going to shadow with a little blue up under the trees. And also up under the house to kind of bring it on out, to give it a little more oomph. Now I just watered my brush because I wanted another depth there. And I'm going to do the same thing here. Just watered it. Something got on there. Now I also want this to be a little darker. Oops, I need a little brown in that. I want this to be a little darker in there. So I'm just going to bring it down. I'm staying away from my path right now. I just want to sit some of this in there. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side with a little blue. I got a little carried away there. Bring it on down to our road here. Like I say, I don't know how I'm going to frame this, so I'm just playing on down here. Now the burnt sienna, which is this red brown, it livens up. If you've got a dead look, add some of that burnt sienna and you're going to be really pleased because it will liven it up quite a bit. So fun. This is just a fun little thing to do. It's so fun. All right, let's make that roof just a little darker. I don't have black or gray, so I'm going to make it. You make it with your burnt umber and blue. I'm just going to touch right here. I'm going to touch it all. And I'm going to bring it on down. Because we want that to be a black roof. Just a little. There we go. All right, now I'm going to do the same thing with the little barn that's back here. I'm going to give it a little shadowing. There we go. Just a little shadowing. There we go. Now, one thing, when that dried, I want to put some window panes in it. And here's my window pane. I'm going to make it a farmhouse window pane. It's got lots of windows. It's got lots of panes in it. That's all I'm going to do, and I'm going to put 4 here. A couple of dots there. And I'm going to put some up here in the top. I'm just going to put us a little sienna so it'll look like clay. I'm going to fan it just a minute. Just a minute. Oh, I know one thing let's do. Let's make these. Let's take some red. Let's take some red and some sienna. And let's just make us a little, maybe not flowers, but just a little distraction there. Okay. Now, I want this to dry. A little more over here. All right. If I get quiet, I'm sorry. Now, let's fan this a little bit. I want to add a little depth in these trees. So all I'm going to do is go in here and just add some different colors, just dropping in a wet brush of color. Just dropping it in. Okay, look at there. That's doing so good. It's probably going to go about like that. All right, I went over to, I don't have white watercolor, but I do have white acrylic. So I'm going to put just a touch of any white acrylic you have. It doesn't matter. Come on. It's plenty. But you don't need much at all. At all. Let me find a stiff brush. Maybe this one will work. Yeah, this one will work. All right, I don't have a toothbrush. A toothbrush does good, but a stiff brush does good too. Now I'm going to thin it down. Pretty good. Pretty good. There we go. And then I'm just going to splatter it by holding it on my finger and splattering. All that's going to do is bring out a little highlight. Don't want much, just a little. Now it gets everywhere, but that's my gig. That's how I do it. So now the other thing is I want to darken right up here. I know I put the white in there. I understand that, but I do want to darken that up just a little bit. So I'm just going to drop in some sienna right in there. Just drop in a little bit. There we go. All right. I'm going to sign it. And date it. And I have a little birthday gift for one of my friends. I'm going to frame it off when it dries. I'm going to frame it off about like that. And I think she will like it. Please hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed this. I appreciate every one of you out there. I had a good time. I haven't painted in a long time. And it really, really felt good to stretch out and get my watercolors out. And I will tell you, I like Winsor Newton watercolor because these I have had, no lie, 20 years. I have put the different colors in. This little palette has been around the world. I will just tell you that. So if you are interested in watercolor, I recommend Winsor Newton. They have just a lot of pigment in them. And there we go. Till our next adventure, whatever it may be. Bye.